What is the weirdest thing that people get really defensive about? One time my friend got pee because I said I was smarter than her baby. She argued that babies have brains like sponges and they learn so much every day. I argued that I know way more stuff than her baby knows and challenged it to a game of Jeopardy. She was so mad. Note, I have an infant of my own. I'm smarter than he is too. Haha, her babies are dumb as crap. When they find out you don't like a food that they like and suddenly you have to write a dissertation on why you don't like tomatoes but use ketchup. Try telling people you don't eat cheese. One of my friends who I regularly talk to over Skype while playing video games gets really mad when I tell him he's breathing too hard into his mic. Like, what? Calm down, dude. Wit, honorifics. First day of a job, I asked a woman, "Mom, would you mind if I get your insurance card again? I need to make a copy for our records." Because I forgot to make a copy after noting her ID number. She throws a snit fit, not because I'm inconveniencing her with my forgetfulness, but because I called her mom. She found it offensive that a girl my age was calling her mom, and, I dunno, making her feel old. Far be it for me to show some respect. Because honestly, I just can't be bothered to remember your freaking name and the C word isn't work appropriate. This is largely regional. Sir mom is used only for older people in a lot of places, but is a common courtesy for all strangers in the southern USA. When I tell people I don't drink, they instantly defend themselves about why they do drink. I don't care if you do it. It's a personal choice for me. It's the same with vegetarianism. Eat all the sausage you want. I don't give a frick. Being spanked. Look, dude, I'm not here to judge your parents, but the fact that you got beaten by a wooden spoon bigger than your arm doesn't make you better than anyone else, nor does it make your childhood any more like righteous and character building. Yeah, it's weird how it's a point of pride for so many people that they were spanked. For what it's worth, I was spanked as a child and I think it's a terrible form of behavioral modification, both practically and ethically. Which pop culture classics you've seen? People overreact so much if you haven't read or seen something that they personally believe everyone should know about in great detail. Yeah, sorry I never saw any of that Monty Python stuff, but I was busy. Heavy sigh. Yeah, that happens to me all the time. I spend my free time playing video games instead of movies. Big deal. My friend insisted we watch Ghostbusters one night as I hadn't seen it, then the next day Harold Ramis died. My obliviousness to Ghostbusters is what was keeping him alive and sure of it. I had a guy unfriend me on Facebook because I said on one of my friend's posts I don't believe faster than light travel is possible. He got legit mad at me, called me an butthole for not understanding the math and insinuated I'm the type of person holding back progress. Mountain Dew. You always come across people who drink like 320 ounces a day and justify it, like it was prescribed to them, even when they are wearing dentures at 30. My contractor drinks 10 1-liter Mountain Dews a day and smokes a pack of non-filtered cigarettes a day. He's well into his 60s, in good shape and one of the most hardworking people I've met. He looks like he's 50 and had all of his teeth. He is one of 7 children and his dad smoked 3 packs a day and died at 96 in a car accident. 5 of his siblings have asthma. Only him and his brother don't, and they are the ones that smoke. He should not be alive, but he is and he needs to be studied. I know a few people who get really upset if religion is mentioned. One is Catholic and takes his beliefs far too seriously, and one is very on the fence and refuses to allow mentions of it because it sometimes leads to arguments. Finally, this guy who goes into full-on rants about how all religious people are stupid or bigoted and actually targets people for these rants when drunk. Yeah, I know a guy who got legitimately upset because his COM 107 freshman level required speech class instructor wouldn't let him do a speech on how God is fake and religious believers are stupid. He said his instructor was violating his religious freedom by denying that topic, and he was offended. Like, dude, it's okay to be atheist, but you don't need to go around deliberately trying to start fights. That poor COM professor was probably just trying to prevent turning her classroom into a war zone. Any product rivalries are stupid. Be happy both exist because they make each other better. Ford, Chevy, Case, Deere, Mac, PC, Xbox, PlayStation. At first I read the list of rivalries as Ford, Chevy Chase, and I was mildly amused. I notice people get defensive if you even hint at the idea that the reason why they're not losing weight as quickly as they would like is because their eating habits are still pretty bad. I get it. I have a tendency to eat garbage food too. Love red meat, sweets, etc. So it's easy to go off the rails, especially when you're trying to stay in shape. The problem is, while I'm fully aware of the bad choices I'm making as well as what I will have to do in the near future to undo this bad decision, a lot of people still think getting an appetizer, a main course, and a couple of drinks isn't that bad. Yes, it is that bad. It doesn't take much to undo an entire week of decent eating because most people still sneak a little more food than they should. Or they get a candy bar because they had a bad day. Or they decide to have a couple of drinks with their healthy salad even though they'd be better off with a McDonald's burger and fries. Fine, get all defensive about it. But don't keep complaining to me that for some magical reason you can't keep the weight off. Stop defending your crappy decisions. As long as people aren't continually announcing that they're on a diet while doing this, I'm fine with it. My mom is really picky about where we go to eat dinner because of her diet. She just uses it as an excuse to choose the restaurant. Then she'll order the most unhealthy stuff. She keeps the house stocked with donuts, but it's fine because she only has 2 a day. What? Mom, you're not on a diet. Attending Weight Watchers meetings without following the points system is ridiculous and a waste of money. Other people's choice of not having children, getting married, being in romantic relationships, aim for definitive careers, etc. People get so outraged about these things you'd think others are telling them they are not allowed to have children, get married, being in romantic relationships, or have definitive careers. Meat. I purposely never speak about being vegetarian because even I get pissy about people that feel the need to shove their vegetarianism, or general beliefs, down people's throats. It isn't any of my business what you put in your mouth. Which is something I try and fail to explain when people are getting genuinely upset and offended about me not eating meat. More bacon for you, pal. You know, it seems to me that there are more people going after vegans vegetarians to try to convert them to being meat eaters than there are vegans vegetarians doing so. From my experience, vegetarians vegans tend to voice their opinions to each other more than try to convince others outside of the group to do so, but are most often accused of doing it. Alcohol. It's weird enough how much passion people will pour into a discussion of their own drinking. Yes, I dump this liquid down my throat. And I'll tell you something else, I'm proud of it. Did I hear someone claim that there actually might be drawbacks to that? Who was it? Etc. But it's a whole lot weirder when other people find out that you don't particularly care about drinking, and take it upon themselves to get offended defensive about that. What do you mean you're not going to get drunk on your birthday? Dude, everyone does that. I don't even understand you right now. Why would you not want to drink? What's wrong with drinking? I've learned that people who drink really shouldn't ever ask a non-drinker why they don't. If you do, you are either going to get an unfulfilling answer, I don't like the taste, I don't like the way it makes me feel, or you're going to get into something quite personal. My father was abusive when he drank. I was an alcoholic and I'm trying to get sober. Either way, it isn't something you want to bring up casually. I work at a bank and there are so many times where, usually old people, yell at me for asking them for their ID. If I have no idea who you are, why the heck would I give you money from an account just because you say it's your account? Sorry, but I'd rather keep my job. Breastfeeding. I'm starting to get to the age where my friends are getting engaged, married, and some are having kids, and it seems everyone has an opinion on breastfeeding. I had a breast reduction a year ago and probably will not be able to, and apparently it's some travesty that I won't be able to breastfeed. There are so many mothering issues that are just as weirdly defended as breastfeeding. Apparently being a new mother is just an absolute poop storm of having to deal with people who think they know the one and only way to parent. Sexual orientation, what others do in their own bedroom. LGBT rights. Why do so many people think they have the right to take away someone else's rights because they don't like who they frick, how they frick, or what gender they were born? Yay, that's the huge problem with humans. They tend to encounter things that they don't understand that are new to them with fear and or aggression. Video games and the platform they're played on. As long as you're enjoying yourself, who the frick cares what type of box it's played on? Also video games themselves. I didn't like that game, so you're a freaking retard for liking it. Kill yourself. Whoa. I like something you don't. How selfish and rude of me. Asking someone their nationality. I'm black and I call myself black and some people tell me that's offensive to African Americans. That is more funny if you don't live in the US. African American Australian, for example. I wouldn't know what to say to those people, but I can think of things I'd be tempted to say. The removal of Pluto as a planet. I've never seen a generation more up in arms about it despite not knowing why it was taken off. I get that it's a nostalgia thing, but, come on. Dude, Blockbuster closed down and they're making Toy Story 4. There's way more things to get unnecessarily nostalgic about. I don't care if it can't remove all the objects in its orbit. Pluto is trying its best and you're just trying to keep it down. Also, the majority of these comments are tongue-in-cheek and should not be construed as a whole generation being up in arms. You'll get a similar response reclassifying mitochondria as the generator of the cell, when we all know perfectly well it's the powerhouse. People who choose to not have children, if you want to have them, do. That's great. Just shut the frick up about how you'll regret it when you're older but babies are so cute and so worth it to the people who choose not to. I like my free time and getting a good night's sleep, thanks. Hunting. If you so much as even hint that you don't like hunting in the presence of most hunters, they fly off the handle and get super defensive about how their hunting benefits nature and blah blah blah. I swear to God, hunters are some of the most insecure people on this planet. I live in a subdivision that was built on old farmland and still has farm fields surrounding the subdivision. There are a lot of deer roaming around there because there is also protected wetlands in the area. They brought in bow hunters to try to bring down the population and the homeowners went crazy. I found it amazing. These deer are going to eat people's flowers and are going to get hit by cars, etc. People are so dang short-sighted. Weed. I have absolutely nothing against marijuana use, and I support legalization of it here in the States. But dear God, man. After attending a high school full of stoners, and dating one for nearly a year, I've come to learn how much of people's lives it can consume. My ex-girlfriend would constantly whine to me how broke she was, despite spending hundreds every month on weed and paraphernalia. It got to the point where it was all she would talk about, and whenever I didn't feel like smoking, she'd take it as a personal offense and go off on some tangent on why I should be smoking weed, its medicinal benefits, legalization history, etc. Needless to say, we broke up. The same thing still happens whenever I run into my other high school friends, because all they ever wanna do is smoke and or talk about smoking. I don't care. Stop seeking validation for your weed habits by shoving it down everyone's throats. Eating meat. People tend to flip out when someone mentions they're vegan or vegetarian. You see lots of posts on Reddit about how do you know someone's a vegan? They'll tell you, when in reality what we eat comes up in conversation frequently and often, and so it's not that vegetarians are constantly proselytizing. Some are, not many. So why do meat eaters have their backs up all the time? I feel like I have to say I'm not a vegetarian if I ever also want to say, but I think people can be a bit harsh on vegetarians. Vegetarianism isn't some fringe belief. There are many people who think killing animals is murder, and so I think the conversation should at least have some respect. What subreddits they subscribe to? Everyone has different opinions on all kinds of stuff, but when someone says they don't like a reasonably large sub, you can expect to hear from some of its members about why someone's dislike is completely unjustified. Some mods take it to the next level and ban you for being subscribed to another subreddit that they don't like. Sexual assault and rape. I have seen way too many people get into an uproar about how there are so many fake reports of sexual assault, that girls are always just claiming rape if they get too intoxicated, and that the statistics for sexual assault are overblown. I've never seen so many rape apologists than on this site. If you offer some people a mint, they can get all defensive and upset and say, "Are you suggesting that I have bad breath?" Whenever I'm offered a mint or gum, I take it because I assume my breath is offending and I'm not proud of it. Take the hint. Take the mint. Cops, when they misuse their authority, especially if there's clear visual evidence, they deserved it. Should have just followed orders. You resist. you get shot. Simple. I hate macaroni and cheese. Freaking hate it. The smell alone makes me want to vomit. I'd much rather contract polio than eat it. Yet every time someone who knows I don't like it makes it and I say I don't want any, they look at me like I just burned down an orphanage dojo filled with starving baby Chinese acrobats. Offering friendly helpful advice directly to a child in need, which many parents seem to take as criticism of their child rearing skills. At a recent wedding, I saw an old friend's 2-year-old having trouble trying to walk toward the group of adults by squeezing between a tree stump and trash can. In my most friendly, child-appropriate tone, I suggested that it would be easier to get around on the other, unobstructed, side. Really, the kid looked like he was about to eat crap and fall into a mess of old trash and spider webs. Instantly the friendly tone of the reunion was broken when the friend angrily snaps, "Don't you frickin' tell my son what to do." Cue nervous laughter from some other friends. Angry glare from the father. I've known the guy for about a decade. He was usually super mellow. When you criticize their pets, especially when they stink. People who don't wash their dogs and others who won't clean the litter box often. I had a friend who had this cat and his house absolutely reeked of cat crap. And it was only from the litter box. He'd get so whoopy about it when I would come over and complain. Note, this same person got tired of the unaffectionate cat he got from the shelter, so he took it out into the woods and shot it. Yeah, I was surprised at that. He was a very obstinate person who had very obstinate ideas. I don't even know how to explain it. Best example was this one time we were a guest in this man's home, and his boxers, dogs, were all excited and running around and playfully jumping on us while we were on the couch. Out of nowhere my friend just starts slapping the heck out of the dogs when they would come around for another playful jumping. I was mortified at my friend's actions. Later he told me, "I don't put up with that. I have not been a friend with this guy for probably 10 years now." Video games. Especially when it comes to criticism of games. Review score for a new game too low for your taste, even if you never played it and the criticism was fair valid? Freak the frick out and attack the reviewer's personal life in the comments. Critically acclaimed game has a bug or a mechanic isn't 100% perfect, 0/10 worst game ever. Its good reviews were clearly paid off by the developers. Don't even get me started on fricking console wars. People keep on saying to the industry is reaching a more mature audience, but when complains when media other industry sees video games as entertainment for kids and man children. Gee, I wonder why. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.